The package sat on his desk for exactly 10 seconds. 10 seconds that turned a planned massacre into a hesitation Dante Russo couldn't afford. He didn't reach for the ribbon. He reached for his gun. In his world, unplanned deliveries were threats, not gifts. They ticked, they leaked, or they contained pieces of men who had crossed the wrong people. Dante stared at the small, black velvet box, his finger hovering over the safety of his Glock. The office was silent, save for the rain lashing against the bulletproof glass, a cold, violent rhythm that matched the plan he had for tonight. With a jaw set in granite, he used the barrel of his silencer to flip the lid open. He braced for an explosion. He braced for a message written in blood. But there was no bomb. There was no threat. Inside lay a single, preserved black rose, dark as the night outside, and a small, cream-colored card that smelled faintly of jasmine and treason. Dante picked up the card, his scarred thumb brushing against the elegant, looped handwriting. He read the 5 words written there, and the air left his lungs as if he'd been punched. "I know what you are." Dante froze. He didn't need to check the signature. He knew that handwriting. He had watched it through the scope of a sniper rifle. He had seen it on intercepted letters. It was Elena Moretti, the daughter of the enemy he was scheduled to execute in less than an hour. 30 minutes earlier, the night had been simple. It was Valentine's Day, a holiday Dante Russo mocked. While the rest of the city was trading chocolates and false promises, Dante was cleaning his weapons. Tonight was the Valentine's Purge, a coordinated strike designed to wipe the Moretti crime family off the map while they were distracted by their annual gala. Dante had the maps spread out on his mahogany desk. He had the infiltration routes marked in red ink. He had a legion of men waiting for his command to turn the Moretti estate into a graveyard. He was ready for war. He was ready for blood. He wasn't ready for this. He looked from the rose to the gun, his mind reeling. The innocent daughter of the devil had sent a gift to the monster coming to kill her father. Dante picked up the rose. It was fragile in his calloused, lethal grip. If he squeezed, he would crush it. If he gave the order tonight, he would destroy her. He walked to the wall of monitors that displayed the security feed of his perimeter. He rewound the footage to 8 p.m. A hooded figure had approached the gate. Not an assassin, but a woman. She had placed the box, hesitated, touched the cold steel of his gate with a gloved hand, and then vanished into the rain. It was Elena. He knew it in his gut.
Why?
Why would the daughter of Don Moretti send a Valentine to the man who was slowly dismantling her father's empire? It wasn't a peace treaty. It was a confession. And that terrified him more than any bullet ever could. The heavy oak doors of his office swung open. Luca, his capo, stepped in, fully geared up. "Boss, the teams are in position. We hit the Moretti estate in 20 minutes. Dante stared at the rose one last time, then snapped the velvet box shut. "Stand down."
Luca blinked, confused.
"Excuse me?" I said stand down. Dante's voice was low, leaving no room for argument. "Pull the men back. Cancel the strike." "Dante, we've been planning this for months," Luca argued, stepping forward. "If we don't hit them tonight, we lose the element of surprise. Why are we stopping?" Dante looked up, his eyes dark and unreadable. "Because the board has changed. Get the men out.
Now."
Luca cursed but nodded, retreating to relay the order. Dante grabbed his coat. He wasn't sending an army tonight. He was going alone. The Moretti estate was a fortress of iron and light, buzzing with the sound of violins and laughter. The Valentine's Gala was in full swing. Dante bypassed the front gate, slipping through a gap in the perimeter security he had memorized for the assassination plan. He didn't go to the house. He went to the gardens. He moved through the high hedges of the maze like a shadow, the damp earth silencing his footsteps. He knew where she would be. Intelligence reports said she hated these parties. She always retreated to the stone balcony, overlooking the maze. And there she was. Elena Moretti stood bathed in moonlight, wearing a dress of pale silk that made her look like a ghost. She was gripping the stone railing, looking out into the darkness, looking toward his territory. Dante climbed the trellis with practiced ease, vaulting over the stone railing. He landed silently behind her. You have a death wish, little bird, he rasped.
Elena spun around, gasping.
But she didn't scream. She stared at him, her chest heaving, her eyes wide not with fear, but with recognition. Dante, she whispered. He stepped closer, backing her against the cold stone wall of the manor. He loomed over her, radiating danger, his hand resting on the wall beside her head. Why? He demanded, his voice a growl. Why send that to me? Do you know what I was going to do tonight? I know, Elena said, her voice shaking but defiant. You were going to kill them. Kill him. And yet you sent me a rose. Because I wanted you to know, she said, looking up into his scarred face. I wanted you to know that someone saw you. Not the monster they tell me stories about, but you. Dante laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. I am the monster, Elena. I have blood on my hands that will never wash off. Your father is my enemy. My father is a cruel man, she countered, tears welling in her eyes.
He is selling me, Dante.
He's marrying me off to the cartel next month to secure a trade route. I am already dead in this house. Dante froze. He looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the bruises she tried to hide with makeup, the desperation in her stance. Leave, he commanded, pulling away from her. Pack a bag.
Run.
If you stay here, you burn. I have nowhere to go, she whispered. Unless you take me. Dante clenched his fists.
He wanted to.
God, he wanted to take her and burn the rest of the world down. But he couldn't. I can't, he lied. I don't save people, Elena. I bury them. He turned and vaulted back over the railing, disappearing into the night, leaving her alone on the balcony. Elena watched him go, her heart shattering. She turned to go back inside, wiping her tears, but the glass door slid open before she could reach it. Her father, Don Moretti, stood there, and he was holding her phone.
Dante Russo.
Moretti spat the name like a curse. You are communicating with the butcher?
Papa, no.
He struck her hard. Elena fell to the cold stone. You traitorous little witch, Moretti snarled. I thought you were just useless. Turns out you're bait. He grabbed her by the hair, dragging her back into the house. Get the camera, he barked to his guards. Let's see how much the butcher cares about his little Valentine. Dante was halfway back to his headquarters when his phone buzzed. An unknown number. He answered. Silence on the line. Then, a video file downloaded. Dante pulled the car over, his tires screeching on the wet asphalt. He played the video. It was Elena, tied to a chair in a basement he recognized from blueprints. Her face was swollen, blood trickling from her lip. Don Moretti's voice came from behind the camera. You want her, Russo? Come and get her. Alone. Or I send her to you in pieces. The phone screen cracked under the pressure of Dante's grip. The dragon tattoo on his neck seemed to pulse with heat. The hesitation from the office was gone. The confusion was gone. All that was left was a white-hot, blinding rage. He didn't call Luca. He didn't call for backup. He turned the car around. The guards at the Moretti gate didn't expect a single car to accelerate to 100 miles an hour. They definitely didn't expect it to ram through the iron gates, turning the metal into shrapnel. Dante's SUV crashed into the fountain in the center of the driveway. Smoke billowed. The guards opened fire. Dante stepped out of the wreckage, a gun in each hand. He didn't take cover. He walked forward, firing with mechanical, lethal precision. Every shot was a kill. He moved through the gunfire like a wraith, fueled by a singular purpose. He breached the front doors of the manor, shooting the lock off. He wasn't there for territory. He wasn't there for power. He was there for her. Dante kicked open the basement door, descending into the dark. Moretti stood behind Elena, a gun pressed to her temple. Take another step, and she dies. Dante stopped. His chest heaved, his suit covered in dust and blood. He leveled his gun at Moretti's head. Let her go, Dante said, his voice eerily calm. Drop the gun, Moretti screamed, his hand shaking. Dante looked at Elena. She was crying, shaking her head. Don't do it, she mouthed. Dante dropped his gun. It clattered to the floor. Moretti laughed, triumphant. The great Dante Russo. Weakened by a girl. He moved the gun from Elena's head to aim at Dante. That was his mistake. In the split second Moretti took to aim, Dante pulled a knife from his sleeve and threw it. The blade buried itself in Moretti's shoulder. The Don screamed, dropping the gun. Dante was on him in a heartbeat. He knocked Moretti unconscious with a single, brutal blow. He didn't kill him. He didn't have time. He cut Elena loose. She collapsed into his arms, sobbing. "You came back," she wept. "I told you," Dante whispered, burying his face in her hair. "I bury people."
But not you.
"Never you." The safe house was quiet, nestled deep in the mountains, miles away from the smoke and blood of the city. Dante sat on the edge of the bed, shirtless, while Elena cleaned a graze on his ribs. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was peaceful. "You can leave," Dante said quietly, looking at his hands. "I have a plane waiting. You can go to Europe. Start over. Be free of him. Be free of me." Elena stopped cleaning the wound. She walked around to stand between his legs. She placed her hands on his scarred shoulders, forcing him to look at her. "I don't want to be free of you," she said.
I'm a killer.
"You are the man who saved me," she corrected. "You received a rose and stopped a war. That is the man I choose." She leaned down and kissed him. It wasn't a tentative kiss, it was a claim. And for the first time in his life, Dante Russo surrendered. 1 year later, the office looked different. The blinds were open, letting the sunlight stream in. Dante sat in his high-back leather chair, the undisputed king of the city. Moretti was in prison, his empire absorbed into Dante's. The door opened, and Elena walked in. She wore a tailored white suit that matched the sharpness of his own. She wasn't the terrified girl on the balcony anymore. She was the queen who sat at his right hand. She walked over to his desk and placed a small box on it. Dante smiled, a real smile. "Another Valentine?" "Something better," she said. He opened the box. Inside wasn't a rose. It was a positive pregnancy test. Dante looked up, his dark eyes filling with an emotion the world thought him incapable of. He stood up and pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the only fragile thing in a world of iron. He had been ready for war. He had been ready for death. But as he held his wife and the promise of a future, Dante Russo realized he was finally ready for life. Dante Russo spent his whole life preparing for war, believing he was only made for destruction. But it took just one rose, sent by the daughter of his enemy, to prove that even a monster can be brought to his knees by the right kind of love. In the end, he didn't just win the city, he won a future. What about you? If you were Elena, would you have risked everything to send a Valentine to the man coming to kill your family? Or would you have run? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you love this Valentine's Day special, please hit that like button. It helps us bring more stories to life. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new romance. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.